Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So, we need to have a serious talk as a leftist family, as a Democrat, progressive, lefty, anti-Trump Republican coalition. We need to have a serious discussion. There's a lot going on with Biden, so I'm going to jump in. There's a lot to share with you guys, but here's where things stand right now. Joe Biden is flat out refusing to step aside from the presidential race. He called into the Morning Joe show this morning. He blamed the quote unquote elites for trying to push him out. And he said he welcomes challengers at the convention. If you don't like me, you can come challenge me. He also sent a letter to Democratic lawmakers saying, in part, quote, "The question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end." So here's the thing. Is he being realistic? Is he getting the truth from the people around him? Is he in a bubble? That's what we need to figure out. And like I said, as a family, how do we keep a madman, a sociopath, Donald Trump out of the White House again? Because this is not a game. This is not something to toy with. So I'm going to run through the confusing polls. I'm going to share with you guys some of the details from 4 focus groups that were conducted recently, voter interviews, what's being said by elected officials and others. So here's where things stand. Friday of last week, July 5th, the Washington Post published this article that you see here. It's titled, "Business Leaders, Pro-Democracy Activists Send Letter Asking Biden to Withdraw." That letter was signed by 168 people, and it said in part, quote, "We respectfully urge you to withdraw from being a candidate for re-election for the sake of our democracy and the future of our nation." Also, quote, "At this consequential moment for our nation, it is time to cement your legacy by passing the torch, just as George Washington did." And the Washington Post said there were more signatures added after that letter was delivered to the White House. Democratic donors are also pulling their support. According to the New York Times, numerous fundraisers have been canceled. Others are just in limbo because donors are backing out. They don't know if they're going to be able to raise the type of funds that they said they were going to. And an article published this morning, this was in the New York Times as well, they reported that one Wall Street CEO said that Biden's withdrawal from the race was an, quote, "inevitability." Hollywood bigwigs are pissed off. They believe they were lied to about Biden's health by one of their own. People like Abigail Disney, she is the heir to the Disney empire. She said she's personally withholding Democratic donations until Biden steps aside. So all of this, and I'm thinking especially the donor situation, it has definitely Democratic officials spooked. Now, things have gotten a little worse. Things have gotten worse today because it was revealed that a Parkinson specialist, a doctor who specializes in Parkinson's disease, has gone to the White House at least 8 times in the past year. So this is a doctor from Walter Reed Hospital. He has been on the visitor logs. Karine Jean-Pierre, Biden's spokesperson, refused to answer questions. She just flat out refused to say why he was there, who he was there to see, what the deal was, and if it had anything to do with Biden. That is not going to instill confidence. So, we're seeing more like what we saw last week. Last week, I shared with you guys that several Democratic lawmakers had issued public statements. They were saying Biden needs to go. So now, as you see here on your screen, another House Democrat, Massachusetts Democrat Seth Moulton, is calling for Biden to end his candidacy. Congress members Raul Grijalva, I think is how you pronounce it. He's from Arizona. Also, Angie Craig of Minnesota. They've now publicly asked Biden to bow out. There was a leadership call on Sunday of last weekend. 4 more House members conceded, yes, he needs to go. Now, according to people who took part in that call, they say that those 4 lawmakers are Jerry Nadler, and Joseph Morell of New York, Mark Takano of California, and Adam Smith of Washington State. Also, Adam Schiff, who is a diehard Trump supporter, total, Democratic, elite establishment type guy who is always, running the establishment line. He has said, yeah, Biden needs to take a serious look at this. He needs to get advice from people who aren't so close to the situation emotionally, like his family. So if people are speaking out in that way, there's something to this. And Axios is reporting that there's a letter circulating the House urging Biden to withdraw. In addition, Mark Warner of the Senate, he's a Virginia senator, he was reportedly trying to gather a group of fellow Democratic senators to go to the White House to speak with Biden about their concerns. He is now, supposedly, since the whole thing leaked to the press, he has now scrapped that plan. But then there's governors in Democratic states, or I should say Democratic governors, some in, swing states, I think. They're now starting to talk privately. Also, one issued a public statement saying Biden needs to do what's right for the country, make way for another candidate. Likewise, Democratic delegates are expressing behind the scenes, they hope the party goes with someone else. Others are saying the opposite. Right. So it's not 100% across the board. Some are saying, no, I'm fully committed to Biden. I'm on board. As we all know, though, the most important thing is what the majority of average voters think. So now, unfortunately, it's a mixed bag. So first, I want to share with you guys the focus groups that were just conducted, because I believe they're an incredibly useful barometer, especially when it comes to swing voters and undecided voters. And you guys all know I'm a focus groupie. I'm one of Sarah Longwell's fans of her show. She recently did 4 different focus groups after the debate. 2 of the groups were people who voted for Trump in 2016, and then they flipped to Biden in 2020. So here is a short montage that I put together of some of what they had to say.
Before the debate, I was leaning a little more towards Biden. I felt like Biden was not staying on topic. I felt like he would start saying something and then all of a sudden he was like, oh, a butterfly. It felt like he just was all of a sudden talking about something completely different. And then Trump would confidently address okay, I think this is where he was trying to go.
I kind of walked away with derangement versus impairment. That's kind of, the taste that was left in my mouth.
Biden came across as more like an animatronic waxwork that they forgot to wind up. I don't think he even knew he was on stage.
I went into it looking for Joe. Joe, give me a reason. Please give me a reason. And he didn't give me one. He actually gave me a reason not to vote for him. And I'm like, whoa, Joe, you messed it up.
The whole world could see, what he is without the teleprompter.
It was really, really hard to watch for me. Just total cringe, particularly Biden.
Honestly, if the election was today, I would probably, as much as it sometimes pains me to say, I would vote for Trump again. I just think that he did do a better job economy-wise. So I don't have any regrets for voting for Biden, but I just think Trump is just a stronger candidate overall, as bad as he is as a person.
So there's that. And then this next video contains feedback from voters who are unfortunately undecided. And these people are people who voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and then Biden in 2020. So pretty reliable Democratic voters. So check out what they had to say.
I can't vote for Trump, and I'm looking at Biden like, oh God, this was so embarrassing. And I just feel like the Democrats are just too soft. They're too soft. They don't have the gumption to go against the Republicans.
I took care of my mom the last 3 years of her life, and she had dementia. That's how I viewed how Joe Biden is. He did awful.
It's not like the first time that he's been in that type of mental capacity. And for instance, in the debate, he was all over the place. But then the next day in that rally, it seemed like the old Joe Biden. So I'm like, are they giving him something?
Like, I don't think age is what we're worried about. He could be 90 and sharp-witted, but he's not. It's his brain. It's not the age. It's the brain. He's just not all there anymore.
And you see Jill Biden have to help the president of the United States navigate walking down 4 stairs looking like a very frail person.
You know, he's kind of slipping and kind of old, you know, and even though I don't like Donald Trump, he comes across as being a leader. Not that that makes me vote for him. It just makes me throw up my hands, you know, and go like, these are the choices we have.
When you think about the president of the United States, he's supposed to be representing the United States of America. And to think that that is the person going into other countries and negotiating on our behalf makes me very nervous with Joe Biden.
It feels like a sort of cornered situation if he's the one that has the most or he's the most well known. So you back him, but it's getting harder and harder to do that.
So that was just a small sampling of what these voters had to say. I'm going to leave the link in the description box on YouTube and the podcast in case you guys want to go watch it. The whole show is about an hour. It's not 100% all focus group. You know, Sarah Longwell speaks in between, and then she has guests on. For this one, she had Tim Miller from the Bulwark. And, you know, if you want to hear all the full remarks, you're definitely going to love the negative things that these people had to say about Trump, because most of them still loathe Trump. So it's not like, oh, we don't like Biden anymore, we're going to Trump. But Longwell did detail how many of these participants are planning to vote for Biden still. There are some who are going back to Trump. And then there are others who are going to go third party. Some aren't going to vote at all. They're just going to stay home. Some are planning to leave the president section of their ballot blank. They are going to vote, but not for the president. So anyway, be sure to check out the full video or their podcast. I'll leave a link to both. In regard to on-the-ground reporting, reporters went to Wisconsin. Washington Post reporter went to Wisconsin over the holiday weekend. And the voters that they spoke with, you know, they expressed love, they have admiration for Biden, but they're concerned. And this was in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a very blue area. Biden won this area very easily in 2020. But one resident that they spoke with named Dean Leeper, he told the Post that he would take any Democrat other than Biden. He just wants the Democratic Party to run anyone else, and he would be fine with it. Other people said, you know, we're afraid that Biden can't beat Trump this time around. Just doesn't seem likely. There was a woman named Sandy Bowes, and she said that she thinks Biden would put the country first. She believes he's a good person. She said, I will vote for him if he's the nominee, but she worries other people won't, and they're just going to stay home. Other people said, you know, we should replace him, but I'm concerned about that as well. How would that work? What, you know, is it too late? What are we going to do? Many of them said, I would gladly vote for Vice President Kamala Harris. Others said no, you know, in the focus group too. Some said no, not going to happen. As for polling, that is also all over the place. There was a Times Siena poll conducted shortly after the debate, within days of the debate. It showed Trump widening his lead. So among likely voters, Trump widened his lead to 6 points. That is outside of the margin of error. It was even worse with registered voters in general. So not necessarily likely voters, but definitely registered voters. He has an 8-point lead. Then there was this Bloomberg News Morning Consult poll. This came out just last week, and it showed Biden leading Trump in a couple of key swing states, so Michigan and Wisconsin. Don't know how realistic that is, but he was still trailing Trump in other very crucial states like Georgia and Nevada. He's also down by 7 points to Trump in Pennsylvania. So again, well outside of the margin of error, a very crucial swing state that he won previously. Not likely that he's going to make that up. I don't see anything happening between now and the election that Biden is going to make up 7 points. Other polls are showing Biden holding steady, but still losing to Trump. So yeah, he hasn't lost any ground, but he hasn't gained anything either. So not good. And then you have Biden's new public appearances. Some have said that Democrats are waiting until the end of this week to make a final decision and speak out publicly. But Biden's public appearances, they have been very hit and miss since the debate disaster. So on Friday, Biden held a rally in Wisconsin. People called him powerful. They said he was strong, he was forceful. You know, he's mocking Donald Trump for when Trump said that George Washington won the war because he took control of the airports. I mean, we definitely need to remind MAGA of that constantly, in my opinion. But the problem is that rally was very short, and it was another scripted event. So he had a teleprompter, he had a speech ready, and he delivered the speech. Even Biden's interview with ABC was pretty short. It was only about 20 minutes. And he told George Stephanopoulos that he's not going to take a cognitive test. He refuses to take the exam. Why? Show people, I'm not afraid. Yeah, I'll take one. I'll take one, and Trump should take one too. That's what his answer should have been. He also appeared like he didn't remember if he watched his own debate performance. George Stephanopoulos asked him about it, and Biden's response was something like, "No, I don't think I did." Or, "No, I don't remember if I watched it all." I mean, what do you mean you don't think you did? Again, that is not how you convince people that you're cognitively sound. And in other non-scripted interviews, he's had more gaffes, he's had more misstatements. So the New York Times reported Biden gave 2 radio interviews on the 4th of July. There's been a whole brouhaha about these for numerous reasons, which I'll explain. But in one of these interviews, they said he, quote, spoke haltingly at points during one interview and struggled to find the right phrase in the other, saying that he was proud to have been the first Black woman to serve with a Black president. The other big brouhaha about these interviews was that it has now come out, the hosts of these shows have admitted that they were given 4 questions from the White House to ask in advance. These were not their own personal questions that they came up with. So Biden knew in advance what the questions were going to be, so he already had his answers formulated. That, again, not a way to show the public and donors that you are all there, that you got it under control and you can shoot from the cuff and shoot from the hip and, you know, you're totally cognitively sound. So where are we? You know, what can be done at this point? Unfortunately, not a lot. You know, if Biden refuses to step aside, someone could theoretically challenge him at the convention, but that's not going to go over well with hardcore Democrats, you know, the hardcore base. And according to an Ipsos poll, the only Democrat who beats Trump hands down in head-to-head polling is Michelle Obama. She has said repeatedly she doesn't want to get into politics, wants nothing to do with it. Now, I find it impossible to believe that she wouldn't, for the good of the country, step up. I think if it was put to her that, look, I mean, you know, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're our only hope. please help, you know. But she's not going to want to step on Biden's toes or Kamala Harris, right? So unless Biden says, no, I'm not going to run, and unless Kamala Harris says, you know what, my polling isn't as good, you can beat Trump, you go for it, because I'm going to put the country over my own aspirations, which I think would be a huge win for Kamala Harris come 2028 if she wanted to throw her hat in the ring again. I think that people would fall all over her and praise her and hold her up as a model of what democracy should look like, and, valuing your country more than yourself and your own, political aspirations. I think it would be a huge win for her. But, yeah, she doesn't seem to want to do it and step on anybody's toes. And until the two of them get it through their heads that this is not looking good, unfortunately, I don't think Michelle Obama is going to pull the trigger. I don't think she will. Someone's got to step up. Someone's got to save this damn country. Now, the good news is Kamala Harris in that same Ipsos poll is within striking distance. So as you can see in this graphic from this poll, she scored 42% of the vote to Trump's 43%. And here's the thing I've said before. I am not a Harris fan in general. I think she sometimes talks out of both sides of her mouth. She, kind of says whatever is necessary in the moment, like a typical politician. But if she is the nominee, she will have my vote. And she really is the most logical choice. And here's why. As the vice president, who was already on the ticket with Biden, she would automatically be entitled to use his campaign apparatus. Also, she would have full access to his donations, all of his campaign funds. No one else can do that. No one else can step in and be granted all of that. Now, what's really telling, too, is that Trump, in his own words and his own private comments, would prefer to run against Biden than Harris. So I don't know if you guys all saw this, but it just leaked out, or I think it was over the weekend. There was a video. Someone obviously recorded this surreptitiously because it was taken at a weird angle. But in the video, you see Trump, he's sitting in a golf cart and he's telling people, oh, Biden quit. Not true, but that's what he tells them. And he says, now he's going to have to run against Kamala Harris. And he says she is a better candidate than Biden. He still dismisses her, but he even knows she would be a better candidate than Biden. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. In my opinion, we are taking a very big risk by moving forward with Biden. I mean, people are bleeding off, and I don't see where the Democrats are going to make up the loss of those people who were already on the fence or who were in Biden's camp and now are walking away. And as for the Parkinson's thing, I have a family member who said he was talking with a doctor, and the doctor watched the debate, and that doctor told my family member, oh yeah, that's Parkinson's. As soon as I saw him, as soon as I heard him speak, I said, that's Parkinson's. So anyway, as I said before, I will vote for him no matter what. If he could be, in the ground for 10 days, I'll still vote for whoever it is that we need to vote for to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. But I am seriously terrified that many other people will not do so. That a lot of people are going to pick the couch, as they say. They're not going to even vote this year. Or they're going to go third party. And we are going to end up with the apricot Antichrist again. So, guys, you have to think of it this way. These lawmakers, all these people in public office, they would not be speaking out unless they believed, unless they are, hearing it from their constituents and from their donors. Unless they know that they have backup, they would not be speaking out. They would bury their head in the sand, or they'd be like, nothing to see here, move on. I'm all on board and riding with Biden. So the fact that so many of them in positions of authority, more well-known, high-powered Democrats in Washington are speaking out against this and saying, he needs to reconsider at least, or flat out he needs to go. It tells you that they are hearing it from quite a few people and that they are terrified of losing their own jobs and losing the majority in the Senate and, possibly ending up with a landslide against Democrats in the House. Whereas, before, odds were the Democrats were going to be able to take over in this next election. So anyway, guys, don't shoot the messenger, just trying to tell you where things stand. I'm very concerned. The most important thing is beating Donald Trump. The most important thing is keeping him and his band of lunatics and sociopaths away from power, especially now, especially given what the Supreme Court just did. So please talk to everyone let them know, even if they are against Biden and Biden is going to remain on the ticket, let them know essentially you're just voting for Kamala Harris, because actuarial tables say, most likely, and if he does have Parkinson's, Biden's not going to be around that much longer. So have them look at it in that vein. You are voting for Kamala Harris versus Trump. I think that's a winning argument. I don't know. Anyway, again, wish it would be Michelle Obama. That would be preferable, 100%. All right. I will let you all know if I hear any more. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like this video, share it, become a subscriber if you have not. If you can donate, truly appreciate it. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.